Sad, single, modern woman asks, when will I meet my person? When? When will she? If she ever will. Introverted women and single men. Keeping to yourself, it's a common thing in a lot of people now, isn't it? It's quite a common thing for a lot of people to be introverted now. A lot of people hate society in itself, don't they? A lot of people do prefer their own time and company. And it's not always by choice. I mean, come on. If you're too introverted, you probably can't handle being around the noise of people, society, the BS, just the everyday nonsense, basically. But in terms of dating now, in terms of dating and relationships, that's going to be an extra struggle and battle in itself, isn't it? Because in order to be seen, to be met, to be found, to be approached, to even have little banter, chit chat, conversation, whatever, you have to be somewhere, don't you? Yes, you can be on the internet now, but you have to be in public, and eventually the internet has to lead to a public meeting, doesn't it? But for the world of introverts, for the world of assumed options, everyone assumes they have options. How do you cope being a person that wants someone so bad, but you barely ever leave your house? Interesting.
I've never made a video like this, but I'm sure that a lot of people can relate. It is so hard sometimes watching so many of your friends fall in love and find their person and get pregnant, especially as I'm moving into my 30s. I feel like I'm watching everybody else live out their dream and wondering when my dream is going to happen for me. And a lot of the times people say things like, well, you have to have a full life. A partner's not going to give you that. And I do have a very full life. I love my life. You know, I'm writing a memoir and I have a therapy practice and I have a really beautiful apartment in New York City and I have the best friends and I really do have this massive life, but it feels like there is something major that is missing. I know it sounds wild, but sometimes it feels like I'm missing out on life because I don't have these things yet.
It's the common point by now, isn't it? Individually, a lot of women are content being by themselves. However, it's when they see what's going on around them.
When my dream is gonna happen for me.
I hope you're focused and on your square. When they see their friends and family in their same age bracket moving on, but it doesn't happen the same for everyone, does it? Not at the same pace, if ever at all. So the common thing with a lot of single modern women is the FOMO, the fear of missing out. They see everyone moving on in life, finding husbands or men that would marry them and have kids with them, have families, even if they're not great. Not saying the relationships are great, but they're finding people. But the point is, for whatever this woman's going through, she's obviously sad. She's distraught from her situation. The question a lot of men would ask, a lot of single men would ask, does she even want a man? Does she even want a family? Does she actually want that? Or does she want something she sees others having? It's like an assumed happiness, an assumed joy, an assumed accomplishment in life. Well, let's be honest, come on. Having a family is the big step in life for a lot of people. It's the biggest step in life, our family and everything. Of course. But my point is, do a lot of women in this situation, like she is, sad, upset, crying, do they want it because they really want it? Or because they just see others with it? Therefore, it's a sort of jealousy thing. And again, as a man, I don't even have to mention the age of 30 thing. A woman reaching the age of 30. I don't have to mention that myself as a man. She mentioned it herself. Now you can say, oh, it's societal influence, the influence of society, making women feel fear to reach that age without settling down. It's our society. That's why women naturally believe it at 30. And it's like, okay, regardless of why the belief exists, the point is it does exist. Be it men on the internet saying, angry men, or a lot of women just feeling it naturally within themselves. Of course, they can find a man past that age bracket, but they know to build, to build the family and everything with the kids. Time's running out there. Yeah. But again, the question is it something really wanted? Or is it just something wanted out of desperation?
It's wild, but sometimes it feels like I'm missing out on life because I don't have these things yet. I thought I'd be married by now. I thought I'd have multiple kids by now. And this is not just the timeline that society has set on women. This is the timeline that I wanted for myself. I've known ever since I was 3 years old that I was born to be a mom, and I just want to experience that so bad. And sometimes I wonder and worry, and this is something that I'm working on in therapy, that like something is wrong with me, that I just don't get to have what other people have. in that regard. And this is not about me.
Again, the assumption that what everyone has is amazing and beautiful, that is an assumption because it's not all roses. A lot of people are settling. But the point I want to make is, this woman is in tears, bawling her eyes out.
I was born to be a mom.
In a world of so many women telling women like this, descend to men. Descend to men. Our 4B movement. They haven't mentioned that recently. I've seen less 4B videos for some weird reason. Okay. Oh, but our descend to men. Focus on your life, girly pop.
I was born to be a mom.
Yeah, focus on your life and your friends. When she sees all of her friends settling down with men and she's just, still by herself, nothing but vibes. That's all she's got. She's probably got a pet, but at least she's got vibes and aura and the dust of her apartment, Just saying, lovely woman, using her as an example.
I was born to be a mom.
But the introverted woman has become a lot more common. I mean, if she's an independent woman, she spends most of her time working and then sleeping because she has to work so much. If she's an independent woman, she's doing everything herself. Is it a question of being undateable and or being in the right mental state? To be told to ignore men, yet you have an intense burning desire in you to find one and procreate. Interesting.
Get to have what other people have in that regard. And this is not about me needing someone to fix me or to make me happy. As humans, we are wired to want to connect with others. And sometimes it feels like I'm starving for this piece of my life. And that feeling can be so hard when you look around and you see everyone else with their plates super full, whether it's like weddings, baby shower, TikTok couples. I just cannot wait to meet my person and to have a family. And it just scares me so much. Like worrying about if it will happen and when it will happen. And then I get worried even talking about this on here. Like if I'm speaking this aloud, does that mean it's not going to happen for me? And I just don't believe that that's true.
In all honesty, just because you're making the video, it doesn't mean anything's true, to be honest. I've seen women bawling on the internet, then they found a man. Now, did it last? Come on. Nothing lasts forever, but I mean, come on. Just because you're bawling and crying, women, it doesn't mean you'll never find a man. No. But the question you should ask yourself is it going to be real? Do you even really want a man? Or are you just so desperate because you see your friends with him? Which again, I mean, that's not good for the man, is it? Because think about it like this for a second. A man may meet this woman and may genuinely think, hey, we can build something. Now, he could be fully genuine. Now, again, using her as an example, not saying her, as an example. But a woman like this could just want it so bad that she would be like, yeah, let's get married and have kids.
I was born to be a mom.
She may not care about the dude at all, but he's a willing suitor, willing to be with her and marry her and do all the family stuff. But again, is it because she wants him or because she wants that life? Some would say, does it matter? And yeah, it should matter. Because if you're a man that's just there to be of service, you're a machine man. Yeah, okay. Then yeah, carry on. Carry on, sir. But I'm sure you prefer to be appreciated for being the person you are, not just a service provider. You're not AOL or EE.
Maybe that's why I'm posting this. We're allowed to have our feelings about things and we're allowed to process things and we're allowed to have wants and needs. And it doesn't mean that we're sending a message to the universe. It's just hard. And if anyone else out there relates, I would love to hear from you.
What a lovely woman. Sad. Trying to manifest her man.
I was born to be a mom.
Fascinating.
Today I'm really struggling with being single. I've just been crying. I'm not about to come on here and cry again though, because I keep on crying.
I mean, we've seen enough crying for this episode already, haven't we? You're not going to cry, obviously, but go on, spit. Spit, what are you going to spit?
TikTok, and it's really embarrassing, but I'm just really struggling being single today. Like, I just don't want to be single. I just want to be in a relationship, and it's actually really f***ed up. Like, when I actually deep it, that I feel like I need to be in a relationship in order to be happy. Like, that is actually how I feel at the moment. Like, I don't feel like I'm myself unless I'm in a relationship. Can anybody else relate to that? I'm just like, I just want a relationship. Like, I'm like, I don't care who it is, I just want a relationship. And that is so f***ed up. Like, I feel like you should get into a relationship with somebody because, like, you love them and you're like, yeah, I want to be in a relationship, not because you just want to be in a relationship.
Exactly my point. The desperation, is it wanted because the man's wanted or just a man's wanted?
I just want a relationship.
Any man will do. Mr. Right versus Mr. Right now, And how should a man feel about that? Oh, you're just Mr. Right now, which means you're just the man that what spoke to her, shot your shot. That's it.
I just want a relationship.
You could have been anyone. It's like, nah. Look, if you're a desperate dude yourself, I guess that's flattering. But if you're a man that cares about yourself, that's insulting. It's like, I could be anyone. I could be it's like, no, 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 no. No. If you're a man that cares about your damn self, you know, I'm not, listen, woman, I'm not just anyone. How dare you? I'm not just anyone. You're lucky I even looked at you. No, seriously. But it's like, yo, again, you can understand if you see it from a woman's perspective, obviously seeing what's going on around her, seeing everyone all coupled up. Not everyone, but obviously it's the illusion. Everyone all coupled up. Yeah. And having babies. Yeah. And she's just there by herself in her car, post crying, and now she's making a TikTok.
I just want a relationship.
And it's good she's admitting that, you know, she's just so single right now. Any man would do. Any man. I mean, if you're a man that doesn't care about yourself, then I'm sure you could be an any man for an any woman, can't you?
So let me know if you struggle with this. I don't know what happened to me in my childhood or what has happened to me in my life in order to make me like this, but today I'm just struggling. It's like 2 days after Valentine's Day and I just feel weird. I'm like over it. I'm like, okay, move on to the next now. But I'm really trying to not do that. Like, I'm not on dating apps or anything, but I want to be on dating apps. Not trying to come in here and be negative. I'm just trying to keep it real. But yeah, love you guys and thank you so much for all your support. And I'll see you later. Bye.
I mean, is it believable though? Any man will do, but she's trying to keep her head up.
As someone who is happily single, the biggest tip I could pass along to someone who is maybe struggling with their single life and trying to feel a little bit better about it is this. Recognize that learning to be happily single is not about never feeling lonely, just like how learning to be happy with your life isn't about never feeling sad. It's knowing that those times are inevitable and that they're going to happen, and it's okay to feel that way sometimes.
Okay, lovely. That's cute and that's sweet. But again, the obvious clear points, like the previous woman, and the woman before her, certain situations, certain people, what's happening in people's lives, and certain time periods of the year make women anxious, make them desperate, make them eager. Now, let's be honest here, let's be honest. A lot of men are aware of that, and men would play on that obviously as well, knowing certain time periods coming up. Oh, she's probably going to be desperate. Yeah, she's going to need a man. I'm going to get in there. And obviously, certain women of certain ages, some men would use that to their benefit, saying, oh, come on, woman, you haven't got long left. Come on. Let's back out the WD-40 and, you know, work out those creaks. But seriously, the point is, the influence of others and the influence of society and times of the year can make even the strongest of single women anxious that she ain't got no man, that she's manless. But the sad reality for men is, again, does she even want the man or just any man? And in that case, it's like, damn, does she even need to care about you or pretend to?
And it's okay to feel that way sometimes. And the important thing to remember is, one, you just need to know like when and how to dig yourself out of those holes when they arise. And two, realize that you need those down times and you need those lonely moments and those sad moments in order to recognize the really good moments where you do feel like you're thriving. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to appreciate those moments in the same way.
What a lovely, bubbly woman. I mean, that's cute, but come on, really. It's not going to help women crying in their flats and their cars, is it? No. Have a look at this. From introvertdear.com, as a 30-something introverted woman, why am I still single? Why? I mean, why? Why is she? A few weeks ago, I went out with a couple of friends from university. We went out for dinner and had fun discussing things related to our lives and education. I should get a heading check to get that bag. That's good. We then decided to attend a club downtown with 90s music, and the drinks began to flow. Nice. Soon, a friend who I'd only known for about 6 months began questioning me about my perpetual singledom. A nosy friend. She even started pointing out various delectable men in the club. Damn. Hey, your friend's thirsty and nosy, wondering why I did not pursue them. Interesting. So even her friend could see her desperation. Well, okay, this did not seem the time nor the place to explain the reasons behind my choices. It left me merely smiling and shaking my head, probably calling her a bitch in her mind. Seriously. My friends from high school, who know me better than I know myself, have long since stopped trying to foist various unsuspecting men on me. That sounds freaky. And thus, the topic of my relationships is never talked of among us. This is why the actions of my uni friend threw me for a loop. Now let us establish the known facts to avoid confusion. I have nothing against people in relationships. I have parents who have been successfully married for 35 years. Many of my friends are in established relationships, although there are several who are still single, just like you. I tend to choose friends for other reasons than relationship status. I still cry when I watch a particular scene in Titanic, please. And romance is in every story I write to some degree. As an introvert, I love curling up with a romance novel, and Jane Austen, who created Mr. Darcy, happens to be my favorite author. Lovely. What's my point with all this? It's a single woman curling up with her books and her fictional Mr. Darcy. It is a common thing nowadays, isn't it? A commonly growing trend. Yes, there's a male loneliness epidemic as well, which is not the way a lot of women on the internet say it is, but okay. But the female loneliness epidemic is a different one, isn't it? Because the fact is, a lot of these women are still looking for a man. But in being too locked away, in being too much of hermits, being too introverted, even the women that want a man are going to struggle to find one. Because for one, he won't be able to find her or even see her because she's always at home. And two, she might not be weird, odd, and goofy, but because she's, just in her house all the time or just working all the time, that could make her odd, weird, and goofy. It's like, oh, come on, woman. What's going on here?
This is for all the pretty girls who are introverts out there. You are not a bitch. You are not stuck up. You are not full of yourself. You just prefer to be quiet and mind your business. And that's totally okay. You don't have to go out of your way to keep explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. I want you to know that you don't have to change a thing about your personality. You don't have to try fitting in. You don't have to try being more social. You don't have to try being more outgoing. Be you. And whoever got a problem with that, tell them to stick it where the sun don't shine.
Now that's cute, that's nice. But I mean, you can't tell that to the first woman, can you?
I was born to be a mom.
Because when those times of loneliness come up and there's no one really there, it doesn't matter how, brash and loud she wants to be. She's just going to be that by herself in her apartment. Her cats may hear it. That's all that may hear it. Her cats and her neighbors may hear it as well. But again, it sounds cute, but it's not going to be so soothing in those dark, lonely, cold nights of the single, modern, independent woman. Men are out there, but she could be too introverted to even put herself in a place where a man could find her.
And whoever got a problem with that, tell them to stick it where the sun don't.
I've become so content being single, and I wish more people saw the beauty in it. I'm not gonna lie, if you would have asked me a year ago, I would have jumped at the chance to be in a healthy relationship. But now, as I'm maturing and I've been single for a while, I've truly realized that being in a relationship is an obligation, and the freedom that comes with being single isn't talked about enough, and it's so liberating. Because, a relationship is an obligation. When you're with someone, you do have to consider how they feel. The way you move, you have to consider them. And when you're single, you don't have to do that. Your only obligation is you, your goals, your dreams, your achievements. But when you're in a relationship, you can't just think for yourself.
Oh yeah, indeed, that's true. And this is why it does benefit a lot of men to be single nowadays, because in getting with a lot of modern women, you're obliged to do the utmost, aren't you? You're obliged to do so much. You're expected to do so much, aren't you? You should be willing and happy to do it, shouldn't you? Now again, look, we understand. A lot of modern women have a high demand. Some expect a man to have all this money and status and resources and everything and come to her prepared, fully complete man, end of the race sort of man. He's not running, he's not building himself up, he's not building his career and his success. No, he's already so successful, built. So it's a both ways sort of thing. Because for as much as a woman thinks that she has to do for a man, and, obviously, yeah, women do, sometimes as a man, what's expected of you nowadays is just so ridiculous, it doesn't even make sense. It's sort of backwards, isn't it? It's like, this makes no sense, me going in to give all of this. Now, this is a young woman, so her opinion may change by the time she's like, 30 going on 40. She may get desperate then. Who knows? Who knows? We don't know. But the point is, it's something men should always note. When a woman changes her stance, like this woman's comfortable being single right now. Okay, I'm going to use using her as an example as well, like all the women. Examples. It's always key for a man to know when a woman changes her stance from wanting to be that single, free, fictional Mr. Darcy sort of girly pop, yeah? Because it's not necessarily a sign that, she wants to find a man to settle down with. It could be a sign that now she's desperate. Now she's desperate for a sucker. I'm just saying. It's one thing to be a content single woman, but it's another thing to become so desperate that any man will do. And any man means as a woman, you have no need to care about that man.
Have to think about them too. And I just feel like I'm too young. I'm too young to be doing that right now. I really, really, really am. What do I look like thinking about someone else and, factoring in them when I need to be, this is my time to be focusing on me, finding out who I am, finding out what I really want to do, what I really
But again, when you get older, you don't want to appear too desperate because a lot of men can sense it. I'm just
want to
saying.
accomplish. Like, am I the only one that feels this way?
No.
I don't know. I just think there's so much beauty in being single, and our generation has made it out to be this, like, if you're single, you're miserable, you're lonely, you're not capable of love. Or it's ridiculous. I actually have really learned to love being single. Of course, I love the idea of a relationship, and when one finds me, I'll be grateful and I'll cherish it. But I'm not in a rush. I am not in a rush. Actually, all that these relationships are showing me in this generation, no shade, is that being single is actually the move. Because people jump into relationships, you getting cheated on, people, it's too much. It's too much. I actually am very content being single. I love it. I love the idea of a relationship. I'm not gonna lie and try and front like I don't think about it. But I'm so content with where I am now, and I have so much going on for myself that being tied down to a person, it just doesn't even, I don't know. No, it's actually giving me anxiety thinking about it right.
But the point is, you do think about it. And we understand, young woman, you're young. We get it. You want to have fun. However, it's far too common to hit a point and age where all of that becomes different, doesn't it? You could say frontal lobe, whatever it is. And the interesting thing is, to a lot of men, a really desperate woman is very unappealing because it's like, why are you desperate? You weren't when you were younger, but you are now. I'm just saying, it happens. A lot of men complain about awful women, but the irony is, imagine if a lot of the lovely, decent women have actually been too afraid to leave their house this entire time. Oh, the irony. The world is yours. Have a nice day.
When my dream is gonna happen for me.
I just want a relationship.